Good morning, everyone. Dreamers, fighters, game changers, thank you for being here today. I look around this room and I see resilience. I see people who face setbacks, who've stumbled, who felt the sting of failure, but who are still here, ready to rise. And I'm here to share a truth that will transform the way you see your journey. Failure is not the end, it's a lesson. It's not a stop sign, it's a detour. It's not a defeat, it's a teacher. Today, we're going to explore how failure can be your greatest ally, how it can fuel your growth, and how it can lead you to a success you never imagined possible. What does it mean to see failure as a lesson? It means looking at every stumble as a stepping stone, every mistake as a masterclass, every setback as a setup for a comeback. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. It's the raw material of growth, the foundation of wisdom, the spark of innovation. When you fail, you learn what doesn't work, you discover what you're capable of, and you uncover the strength to try again. Failure is not the end of your story, it's the plot twist that makes your victory sweeter. Because when you learn from failure, you don't just recover, you evolve. You don't just survive, you thrive. Let's start with a reality check. We've all failed. Every single one of us has faced moments where we fell short, where we didn't meet expectations, where we felt like giving up. Maybe you launched a project that didn't take off, poured your heart into a dream that didn't come true, or worked hard for a goal you didn't achieve. Maybe you faced rejection, lost a competition, or saw a relationship crumble despite your best efforts. Failure feels heavy, it stings, it bruises, it makes us question ourselves. But here's the truth, failure only defines you if you let it. The moment you see failure as a lesson, you turn pain into power, doubt into determination, and setbacks into success. I want you to think about a failure in your life. A moment when you fell, when you felt defeated, well, you thought it was over. Now ask yourself, what did you learn? How did it change you? What strength did you find in that struggle? Because failure is not the end, it's a lesson. And the lessons you learn today will shape the victories you celebrate tomorrow. If you can learn from your failures, you can rise above them. If you can grow through your setbacks, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Let me tell you a story about someone who turned failure into a lesson. A man named Henry Ford. Before he revolutionized the automobile industry, Ford faced devastating setbacks. His first company, the Detroit Automobile Company, failed miserably, producing only a few cars that broke down constantly. Investors pulled out, and the company dissolved, leaving Ford broke and greedy. Could have quit, saying, "I'm not cut out for this. I'll never succeed. This is the end." But Henry saw failure as a lesson. He learned that quality and efficiency were key, redesigned his approach, and founded the Ford Motor Company. That persistence gave us the Model T, which changed transportation forever. Why? Because Henry Ford knew failure is not the end. It's a lesson, because he turned setbacks into stepping stones. Let's dive deeper into Henry's journey, because there's so much we can learn from his resilience. Imagine being Henry Ford in 1901, with your first company bankrupt, your reputation in tatters, your dreams mocked by those who called you a fool. Imagine the shame of failure, the fear of starting over, the weight of knowing you let people down. Imagine the voices, your own and others, saying, "You're done, you'll never make it, give up now." And yet, Henry didn't listen. He'd study his mistakes, sketch new designs, and build a new team, believing that failure was just a detour. And because he learned from his failures, he didn't just create a car, created a legacy. He showed us that failure is not the end, it's a lesson. Now let's take a step back and talk about why failure feels so hard. Failure is just a moment, it's an emotional journey. When you fail, you feel exposed, vulnerable, like the world is watching and judging. You might feel shame, wondering what others think of you, or guilt, believing you let yourself or others down. You might feel fear of failing again, fear of never succeeding, fear of being stuck. But here's what I want you to understand. Those emotions are part of the process. They're not signs that you're weak. They're signs that you're human. And when you feel those emotions, you have a choice. You can let them stop you, or you can let them teach you. Because failure is not the end, it's a lesson. And even the pain it brings can teach you something profound. I want to share another perspective on failure, how it connects us to others. When you fail, you might feel alone, like you're the only one struggling. But failure is universal. It's a thread that ties us all together. Every person you admire has failed, often more times than they've succeeded. And when you share your failures, when you're honest about your struggles, you build connections. You inspire others to keep going, to see their own failures as lessons, to believe in their own resilience. Failure isn't just a personal teacher, it's a communal one. It reminds us that we're all in this together, learning, growing, and rising as a community. Let me tell you about another person who saw failure as a lesson, a woman named Vera Wang. Before she became a fashion icon, Vera dreamed of being an Olympic figure skater. She trained for years, but failed to make the US Olympic team, a crushing blow to her lifelong dream. She could have given up, saying, "I'm a failure, my dreams are over, I'll never be great." But Vera saw failure as a lesson. She learned she had a passion for creativity and design, pivoted to fashion, and started working at Vogue. At 40, she launched her own bridal fashion line, which became a global empire. Why? Because Vera Wang knew failure is not the end, it's a lesson. Because she turned a closed door into a new path. Let's explore Vera's story further, because there's so much wisdom in her journey. Imagine being Vera Wang in the 1960s, standing on the ice, your Olympic dream shattered, your years of training seemingly wasted. Imagine the heartbreak of watching others succeed, the self-doubt that creeps in, the fear that you'll never find another purpose. Imagine the voices saying, "You failed, you're too old to start over." It's over. And yet Vera didn't stop. She'd channel her creativity into fashion, work tirelessly to prove herself and build a brand from scratch. And because she learned from her failure, she didn't just find success. She redefined elegance. She showed us that failure is not the end, it's a lesson. You might be thinking, that's incredible, but I'm not Henry Ford or Vera Wang. I don't have that kind of vision or opportunity. Let me stop you right there. You don't need to be a famous innovator or designer to learn from failure. You don't need to change the world to rise above setbacks. Seeing failure as a lesson is for everyone. It's about your growth, your journey, your success. Maybe your lesson means realizing you need to communicate better after a failed collaboration. Maybe it means discovering your resilience after a personal loss. Maybe it means trying a new approach to a goal you've struggled with, even if you've fallen short before. Whatever it is, it's yours. And when you learn from failure, you create a future that's stronger than your past. I've experienced this in my own life. A few years ago, I tried to organize a charity run to raise money for a local school. I spent weeks planning, securing sponsors, and spreading the word. But on the day of the event, barely anyone showed up. I felt like a failure. My efforts wasted, my goal unmet, my confidence shaken. I could have given up saying, "I'm not good at this. I'll never make a difference. It's over." But I decided to see failure as a lesson. I learned I needed to engage the community earlier, improve my outreach, and plan for contingencies. I organized another run the next year, and it raised thousands for the school. Because I learned that failure is not the end, it's a lesson. Because I chose growth over giving up. Let's talk about why failure as a lesson is so transformative. When you reframe failure, you shift your perspective from defeat to development. You stop seeing mistakes as proof of your inadequacy and start seeing them as proof of your effort. Failure teaches you resilience, showing that you're stronger than you think. It teaches you humility, reminding you that growth takes time. It teaches you innovation, pushing you to find new ways to succeed. Failure also teaches you patience, showing you that success is a journey, not a race. It teaches you courage, proving that you can face fear and keep going. And when you learn from failure, you inspire others to do the same. You show them that setbacks are universal, but surrender is optional. You become a living testament that failure is not the end. It's to appreciate your successes when they come. They can teach you self-compassion, showing you that you're worthy even when you fall. Failure's emotional lessons are just as powerful as its practical ones because they shape not just what you do, but who you become. So don't run from the emotions failure brings. Embrace them, learn from them, grow through them. Because failure is not the end, it's a lesson in every sense of the word. Let me tell you about another person who turned failure into a lesson, a man named Soichiro Honda. Before founding the Honda Motor Company, Soichiro faced repeated failures. His first business, making piston rings, failed when his products didn't meet Toyota's standards, leaving him broke. During World War II, his factory was bombed and he lost everything. He could have quit. "I've failed too many times. I'll never recover. This is the end." But Soichiro saw failure as a lesson. He learned to innovate, rebuilt his business, and created a small engine that led to Honda's iconic motorcycles. Today, Honda is a global leader in automobiles. Why? Because Soichiro Honda knew failure is not the end, it's a lesson. Because he turned adversity into opportunity. Let's unpack Soichiro's story further, because there's so much to glean from his persistence. Imagine being Soichiro Honda in the 1930s. With your piston ring business rejected, your savings gone, your dreams in ruins. Imagine the devastation of seeing your factory destroyed in the war, the exhaustion of starting over, the fear that you'll fail again. Imagine the voices saying, "You're done, you'll never make it, give up." And yet Soichiro didn't stop. He experimented with new ideas, build engines from scratch, and keep pushing forward. And because he learned from his failures, he didn't just rebuild, he revolutionized. He showed us that failure is not the end, it's a lesson. Now let's talk about the long-term impact of seeing failure as a lesson. When you embrace failure as a teacher, you don't just overcome a single setback, you build a mindset for life. You develop a habit of learning, a resilience that carries you through future challenges, a confidence that no failure can shake. Over time, the lessons you learn from failure compound. They become the wisdom that guides you, the strength that sustains you, the vision that propels you. And as you grow, you become a source of inspiration for others, showing them that failure isn't a dead end. It's a doorway to a better future. So how do you turn failure into a lesson and keep moving forward? How do you reframe setbacks as opportunities and use them to fuel your success? Let me give you 5 practical steps to help you get started, because I want you to leave here with a clear plan to turn every failure into a lesson. Step 1, reflect, don't regret. After a failure, take time to analyze what happened. Why did it go wrong? What could you do differently? What did you learn? Don't dwell on shame or self-pity. Focus on growth. Write down your thoughts, talk to a mentor, or journal your lessons. Because when you reflect, you extract the lesson from the loss. Step 2, adapt, don't abandon. Failure shows you what doesn't work, so use that knowledge to adjust your approach. Try a new strategy, seek new perspectives, or build new skills. Don't let failure stop your dream. Let it refine your path. Experiment, iterate, and keep moving forward. Because when you adapt, you turn lessons into action. Step 3, persist, don't pause. Failure can make you want to quit, but the greatest lessons come from pushing through. So keep going even when it's hard, even when you're scared, even when you fail again. Set small goals, celebrate small wins, and stay committed. Because when you persist, you turn lessons into legacies. Step 4, seek support. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Success Mindset.